Nice of you to drop in.
Hello people, I'm the Comic Book Gamer, and today I'm going to be counting down my top 5 favorite animated superhero TV shows of all time. So yeah, let's get into it. Number 5 is Batman Beyond. Now, Batman Beyond added a lot to the Batman mythos. You suddenly have this new Batman who's Terry McGinnis. He's this young guy in this futuristic world with this cool Batman suit, and he's got Batman, well, the original Batman, Bruce Wayne, who's now even grumpier than before. He's all old and everything, and he's his mentor, teaching him how to be Batman and everything. And this just added a lot to the world of Batman. Like, you suddenly saw the future, and it added a lot to the Batman the Animated Series as well. You got to see some other stuff that happened that wasn't ever answered in Batman the Animated Series, especially in the movie it spawned, which was Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, which is just an amazing movie, and it adds so much to Batman the Animated Series. Like, I never knew this stuff happened, but then Batman Beyond, like, sort of explains everything that happened, and it was just such a great movie, and that was my favorite part of Batman Beyond, was the fact that it spawned Batman Return of the Joker. But the actual series itself was great too, added some cool new villains, and again, the world was just awesome, and it added a lot to Batman himself, like just that world of Batman. Number 4 is Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Now, this show brought a lot of stuff from the comics, such as Secret Invasion, which was my favorite part of the show. I love seeing the Skrulls show up, and then it's like, who's a Skrull, who's not. Seeing, like, Captain America break everyone out of that Skrull ship was awesome. We got a lot of villains from the comics, which was great as well, such as Baron Zemo, and, yeah, it was just so cool seeing all these different comic villains. Now, this show was not perfect, but it was so much fun to watch, such as the animation wasn't my favorite, and you did have some cheesy parts, like when Ant-Man came back as Yellow Jacket. That was pretty bad, but besides like very few minor details and stuff, some parts that I didn't really care for, the show was great. Again, it brought a lot from the comics. The characters were great. I loved seeing the Avengers come together. The voice acting was pretty good, and yeah, it was just overall a really good show, and I was sad that it got canceled, and then they replaced it with that crappy show that's supposed to be like connected to the MCU, and I was very sad when this show got canceled because it was a really good show. But I think all the seasons are on Netflix, so yeah, if you have Netflix, definitely watch this show if you haven't already. It's a really good show. Number 3 is Young Justice. Now, you've probably seen people talking a lot about Renew Young Justice for Season 3, since it got canceled after 2 seasons, and it definitely deserved a 3rd season, and many more. It was a great show. It was a lot different than its comic book counterpart, but it still was great in its own right, and the only, like, really complaint I had about this show was the fact that I did not like Nightwing's voice actor. They kept the same voice actor from Robin, and he literally did not change his voice at all. That was, like, my only complaint with the show. Besides that, the show was pretty good. I love seeing like the military strategy of everything and the stuff that went down in the DC universe, and seeing sort of the behind the scenes stuff, and I love this tactical team of teenagers. The voice acting was great. I loved it, and you got to see season 2 if you haven't seen it. I won't spoil it or anything, but some big master planning there. That was really cool, and the animation was great. The fight scenes were awesome. It was just an all-around great show. Even though it only got 2 seasons, it was still a really good show, and I liked it. And also, it has the best portrayal of Deathstroke, even though he has that crappy ponytail. I hate it. That ponytail just annoys me. Besides that, this was the best representation for Deathstroke in the media. That's not saying much, considering all he's had is a bunch of crappy representations, pretty much, but this still was pretty cool, and Deathstroke kicked a lot of butt in this show. And again, this show was just a great show, and there's good reason for people clamoring for a season 2. I'm one of those, season 3, I mean. I'm one of those people. I want season 3, just like pretty much everyone else. Number 2 is Batman the Animated Series. I do not need to explain why this show is here on this list. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows why it's such a great show, but I will anyways. This show, just amazing. We got the voice actors for Batman and Joker out of this. I mean, they are Batman and Joker. You can't replace them with anyone. Like, you've tried, well, DC has tried, but it just does not stick. Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill are the definitive Batman and Joker, and it's because of this show. The writing on the show was great. This was very dark for a kid's show. You had a lot of stuff, like, Joker couldn't kill people, but he could, like, permanently paralyze their face to where they were smiling and stuff like that. It's like, whoa! It showed a lot of stuff. It actually used guns, where a lot of other shows like Spiderman the Animated Series, they use lasers and stuff, and it's like, okay, but in Batman the Animated Series, they actually used guns, and it was just a very good dark show with some great storylines. Also, Mr. Freeze was highlighted in the show much better than he was in the comics. Like, prior to this, he wasn't really shown too great in the comics. Like, he was an alright villain, but in this show, to me, it really made Mr. Freeze. And again, we got the Joker and the Batman out of this. It was just an amazing show with some great storylines, and we got to see Jonah Hex, which is a big thing for me because I'm a huge Jonah Hex fan, so I loved that. And the villains were just all around great. The show is amazing, and everyone already knows it. Number 1 is Spectacular Spider-Man. Now, I grew up watching Spectacular Spider-Man. This show came out when I was 10 years old, so I used to watch it every Saturday morning, and it was just the best. Everything about it's perfect. The voice acting, Josh Keaton is Spider-Man. The guy who plays Green Goblin, holy crap, he had a spooky voice. Like, it's spooky. I haven't used the word spooky in a while. Anyways, he had a spooky voice. It was perfect. It was maniacal and everything. I remember hearing him talk, and I was like, oh my gosh. Well, I mean, when he was Norman Osborn. The guy who played Green Goblin was Steve Bloom, and he did a great job. But when he was Norman Osborn, he just sounded creepy. And everyone else on the show was great as well for their voices. But to me, the standouts were Spider-Man and Norman Osborn. Just fantastic. And the animation, I love the style of the animation. Everything was smooth. The action, just everything was great about the animation. The sound effects, amazing. I love the sound when he would shoot his web. It was great. And yeah, just the show was overall amazing. It's made by like the same people who did Young Justice, so that explains why it only got 2 seasons, even though it's an amazing show. Just, yeah, this show, I absolutely loved it. The storylines were great, like wondering who Green Goblin was, all the different mob bosses and everything. Everything going on with this show was great. I absolutely loved it. I wish it would have gone on for more than 2 seasons. The reason it got canceled was because it was running on like a WB Saturday morning network, and then Disney bought them, so it went to Disney XD. But this was the time when like no one had Disney XD. I didn't watch the show like when it aired. I had to watch it on YouTube because I didn't have Disney XD. And so the show got really low ratings and got canceled after 2 seasons. So yeah, that was very disappointing for me. I was so mad, but at least they went on to make Young Justice. But still, I wish this show would have continued. It's my favorite animated superhero show of all time. It's just great, and you should definitely watch it if you haven't. It's perfect. But anyways, please let me know in the comments below, what are you guys' top 5 favorite animated superhero shows of all time? And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like.